Women just aren't built for this kind of thing, Harold said, leaning back in his recliner, hands locked behind his head like he'd just dropped a pearl of wisdom. It's not personal, Rachel. Finance is cutthroat, and Brian's got the instincts for it. I sat across from him at the dining table, my fingers tightening around the edges of my meticulously prepared spreadsheet. My pulse hammered, but I kept my face neutral, refusing to let his words unravel me. Harold, I said, my voice steady. I've been managing portfolios worth millions for 8 years. My firm's returns are in the top 3% regionally. He waved a hand, dismissing me like I'd mentioned a hobby. I'm sure you're fine at your job, but this is family money. We need someone who gets our priorities. Brian's the obvious pick. Brian, my stepbrother, lounged beside him, flashing a grin that screamed he'd already won. At 25, fresh, from a finance degree with 0 real-world experience, he was Harold's golden boy, apparently a prodigy because he shared his blood. I turned to Brian, keeping my tone even. What's your strategy for the portfolio? He faltered, his smugness flickering. I'm thinking tech stocks, high-growth stuff. Catch the wave. Harold nodded, beaming. That's it. Bold moves. That's what we need. My stomach twisted. Bold moves? That was their plan? I'd spent a decade mastering risk, crafting balanced portfolios, and studying market shifts, and now I was being sidelined for a rookie because I wasn't a man. My name's Rachel Carter, and I've fought tooth and nail to be taken seriously, as a financial analyst in a world that loves to underestimate me. But this wasn't just another boardroom slight. This was my stepfather, Harold. Choosing my inexperienced stepbrother over me to manage a family portfolio meant to secure our future. It wasn't just money at stake. It was my pride, my expertise, and my place in this family. This is a story of being dismissed, proving them wrong, and finding validation where it matters most. Stay with me, because if you've ever been overlooked for who you are, you'll feel every moment of this, and the ending will show you what it means to let your work roar. I drove home that night, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. Harold's words echoing, "It's not personal." It felt like a knife to the chest. I'd clawed my way up in finance, enduring patronizing colleagues and proving my worth with results, only for my own family to write me off. When I walked into our apartment, my partner Alex was stirring pasta on the stove. "How'd it go?" he asked, glancing up with a smile. I dropped my bag and let out a bitter laugh. It was a train wreck. Harold gave the portfolio to Brian because, apparently, women can't handle finance. Alex's face fell, the spoon pausing mid-stir. "He said that?" "Word for word," I replied, grabbing a glass of water. "And Brian's out here planning to ride the wave with tech stocks like it's a casino." Alex shook his head. "You've been doing this for years, Rachel. Brian probably can't even read a P&L statement." "Exactly," I said, my voice rising. "But Harold thinks I'm a liability, and Brian's a genius, even though my numbers crush anything he could dream up." That night, lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling, anger simmering into resolve. I wasn't going to beg Harold to see my worth. Instead, I'd let my work do the talking. My firm was already eyeing me for a major client portfolio, a career-defining project. If Harold wanted to bet on Brian's bold moves, fine. But when the results came in, I'd make sure the truth was undeniable. For the next few weeks, I tried to push the portfolio out of my mind. It wasn't easy. Every time Brian posted a cryptic, "killing it in the markets" update online, or Harold bragged about Brian's vision at family dinners, my jaw clenched. But I channeled that frustration into my work. At my firm, I'd been tapped to lead a high-profile portfolio for a new client, and I threw myself into it, late nights crunching data, tweaking strategies, and triple-checking projections. My colleague and mentor, Nina, caught me burning the midnight oil one evening. "You're going hard on this," she said, leaning against my desk. "What's driving you?" I sighed, leaning back. It's personal. My stepfather passed me over for the family portfolio, gave it to my stepbrother. Said women aren't cut out for finance. Nina's eyes widened. He said what? Yeah, I said, the bitterness creeping in. So now I'm proving him wrong, one killer return at a time. She grinned. That's the spirit. Show them what you're made of. Meanwhile, cracks in Brian's genius started showing. At family dinners, Harold's updates about Brian's investments grew vague. It's a long-term play, he said one night when I asked how the portfolio was doing, his tone defensive. Long-term? I raised an eyebrow. That's code for it's tanking, isn't it? What's Brian investing in? Harold bristled. It's not your concern, Rachel. Brian's got it handled. I let it drop, but a quiet satisfaction settled in. I'd seen this before, cocky newbies chasing risky stocks without a clue, only to crash when the market turned. Brian was heading for a fall, and I didn't need to say a word to make it happen. At work, things were soaring. The client portfolio I managed was outperforming projections, and the firm's leadership took notice. They invited me to present my strategy at a national finance summit, a huge opportunity to cement my reputation. Nina was thrilled when I told her. This is your shot, she said. Own it. The night before the summit, practicing my speech in front of the mirror, I thought about Harold and Brian. Part of me wanted to rub this in their faces, but I pushed that aside. This wasn't about them. It was about proving to myself that I belonged at the top. As months passed, the gap between my success and Brian's failures widened. My portfolio's returns were drawing praise, and clients were singing my name. Meanwhile, Harold's comments about Brian's performance turned grim. Markets been tough, he muttered at one dinner, avoiding my eyes. Some unexpected losses. I kept my expression neutral. Losses? How bad? He waved it off. Nothing permanent. Brian's learning. Brian, silent for once, poked at his food. It's a rough market, he mumbled. No one's winning big right now. I couldn't resist. That's not true. Well-managed portfolios are thriving. It's about strategy, not luck. The table went quiet, Harold's glare sharp. Not everyone has your fancy clients, Rachel. Family money's different. I nodded, biting my tongue. Let them cling to their excuses. My results would outshine their denial. By the 1-year mark, the contrast was stark. Brian's portfolio was bleeding, dragged down by reckless bets on volatile stocks. My firm's performance, meanwhile, was making waves. Industry outlets featured my strategies, and I'd just been named a rising star in finance by a major publication. The award came with an invitation to a gala, where I'd receive a trophy for portfolio innovation. Standing on that stage, holding the award as the crowd applauded, I felt a rush of pride. Harold and Brian weren't there, but I knew word would reach them. Sure enough, 2 weeks later, Harold called. Rachel, he said, his voice unusually soft. I saw your name in Finance Weekly. Congratulations. Thanks, I said, keeping it cool. He paused. I didn't realize your firm was doing so well. I may have underestimated you. You did, I said plainly. But I appreciate you saying that. The real turning point came unexpectedly. Harold, a news junkie, never missed a financial broadcast. One evening, as I was wrapping up a client meeting, Alex called, laughing. You won't believe this. Harold's glued to the TV. Your firm's on Market Pulse, and they just called you a top portfolio manager. He hasn't said a word in half an hour. I grinned, a mix of triumph and disbelief washing over me. For months, I'd poured everything into my work, achieving what Harold deemed impossible. Now, the proof was beaming into his living room. The next day, he called again, his tone subdued. Rachel, I saw the Market Pulse segment. Your results. They're remarkable. We've been working hard, I said, letting the moment linger. He sighed. I misjudged you. Can you come by this weekend? I'd like to talk. When I arrived at Harold's house, the air felt different. No bravado, no Brian, just Harold, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. He handed me a folder. This is the portfolio's latest report. I thought you should see it. I flipped through the pages, my heart sinking. The losses were brutal. High-risk investments had cratered, erasing years of growth. It was a mess, the kind I'd warned against. Brian said it was just market swings, Harold said, his voice heavy. But after seeing your work, I'm not so sure. It's not the market, I said carefully. It's the choices. Managing money takes discipline, not just big swings. Harold nodded, his face etched with regret. I thought I was giving Brian a chance to shine. I see now I overlooked you and overestimated him. The admission hit hard. For years, Harold's dismissal had stung, but hearing him own it felt surreal. I owe you an apology, Rachel, he said quietly. I let my biases blind me. You've earned better, and I was wrong. I swallowed, the vindication bittersweet. Thank you, I said. But this isn't about me. It's about the family's future. If we want to fix this, we need a new approach. His eyes met mine, resolute. I want you to take over, if you're willing. I spent the next hour laying out a plan to stabilize the portfolio, diversified investments, risk management, steady growth. It wouldn't be quick, but it was solid. Harold listened intently, a respect in his gaze I'd never seen before. When I finished, he leaned back. Rachel, I don't know how to thank you. After how I treated you, you didn't have to do this. I smiled faintly. It's not about settling scores. It's about doing what's right. Leaving his house, I felt a quiet peace. Harold's apology didn't erase the past, but it was a start, a crack in the wall between us. At the next family dinner, the usual tension was gone. Harold even praised my strategy. Rachel's turning the portfolio around, he said, glancing at me. I should have trusted her from the start. Brian shifted in his seat, silent, a flicker of resentment in his eyes. I didn't gloat. This wasn't about him. It was about securing our future. Later, as I cleared plates, Harold pulled me aside. I meant what I said earlier, he murmured. I'm sorry I doubted you. My biases got in the way, and I failed. You! His sincerity caught me off guard. That means a lot, I said. I don't hold grudges, Harold. I just want us to move forward together. He nodded, a weight lifting. You've got my trust, Rachel. Fully. Over the next months, I took the reins on the portfolio, undoing Brian's missteps and building a resilient strategy. Returns climbed slowly but steadily, and Harold stayed true to his word, offering support without meddling. His questions were thoughtful, his praise genuine, a far cry from the man who'd dismissed me. One evening, reviewing the latest reports, he leaned back and sighed. Rachel, I thought I knew best, but you've taught me something. The people you overlook can be the ones who change everything. I smiled, setting the report down. It's never too late to see clearly. He chuckled softly. You've done more for us than I can repay. Thank you. My career kept soaring. The portfolio's success drew new clients, and the gala award was just the start. At home, Harold's support grew beyond finance. He started valuing me as a person, not just a professional. The strain that once defined us faded, replaced by mutual respect. It didn't erase the years of doubt, but it built a bridge to something better. The journey taught me a truth I'll carry forever. You can't force someone to see your value. Sometimes you just keep working, letting your results drown out their noise. When they finally see you, it's not about their apology. It's about knowing you were always enough. As I left Harold's house one evening, the stars bright overhead, I felt whole. The road ahead wasn't certain, but I'd claim my place, not just in the family, but in my own story. And no one could take that away.